I am now going to talk through 3 ratio problems. These are all typical questions you might expect in your GCSE. So we are told a ratio of boys to girls, which is 2 to 3. This means for every 2 boys in the room, there are 3 girls. So, if there are 26 boys in the room, this means that there are 13 lots of these 2 boys. 2 times 13 is 26. For the ratio to maintain itself, there must also be 13 lots of girls. 13 times 3 is 39. So there are 26 boys and 39 girls. So how many girls are there? There are 39 girls. In a similar way, suppose you're told the ratio of boys to girls is 4 to 3. So boys to girls is 4 to 3. In every group, so to speak, there are 4 boys and 3 girls, which makes a total of 7 per group. But there are 77 children in total. So in total, there are 77. So in each group, there are 4 boys and 3 girls. There must therefore be 11 groups, because 7 times 11 is 77. So, if there are 11 groups, and in each group there are 4 boys and 3 girls, there must be 44 boys and 33 girls, giving you your 77 children in total. So, how many boys are there? There are 44 boys. The final question. The ratio of men to women is 2 to 3. So, men to women is 2 to 3. Per group, if there's 2 men and 3 women, there is a total of 5 in each group. But there are 40 people in the room. If there are 40 people, that must be 8 groups, because 5 times 8 is 40. So, there must be 16 men and 24 women, making 40 in total. So the ratio of men to women in its highest form, rather than its lowest form, is 16 to 24. But 5 men enter the room. So if 5 more men enter, rather than 16 men, if we add 5 men, there will now be 21 men, but still 24 women. So this is the new ratio of men to women. However, a ratio can cancel down. If we look for a factor, we can observe how we can divide by 3. And that gives us 21 shared by 3 is 7, and 24 divided by 3 is 8. And that gives us the new ratio of men to women, with the new men having entered in its simplest form We have therefore solved all three ratio problems. Proportion is not too difficult. If you are told that y is proportional to x, it means that there is a pattern linking x and y every time. Now this one, I think, is probably fairly obvious. We're looking for the same pattern. Now proportion means multiplying or dividing, and I think you can see how to get from x to y every time, the x coordinate has been times by 10. 10 divided by 1 is 10, 30 divided by 3 is 10, 50 divided by 5 is 10. This, of course, must therefore be 70 times by 10, and the rule is that to get to y, we do 10 lots of x. Now, it's not always as obvious, but if you're told that y is proportional to x, then in this case here, we're looking at what you times x by to get to y. Now, if you get a calculator and do 3.6 divided by 3, and if you do 6 divided by 5, you find that the answer is 1.2. So the multiplier is just 1.2. Once again, 3.6 divided by 3 is 1.2, 6 divided by 5 is 1.2, that is therefore the pattern. So if x is 12, 12 times 1.2 is 14.4. We can therefore find the missing value, and it means that y is always 1.2 lots of x. So y is proportional to x means that there is a common number which you either multiply or divide by to get from x to y. This is very similar, but sometimes they can be called a non-linear pattern, which is where y is proportional to, for example, x squared. And you're given a table with x and y in, and if you do 20 divided by 2, you get 10, but 125 divided by 5 isn't 10, and that certainly isn't 10 either. There's not a pattern. As before, the pattern changes, but if we work out x squared, so 2 squared is 4, 5 squared is 25, 10 squared is 100, that is where the pattern lies. If you do 20 divided by 4, you get 5. 125 divided by 25, 5. 500 over 100, 5. The pattern is times by 5, but it links x squared and y. We were told the pattern involved y and x squared. That is why we knew to work out the x squareds and compare those to y. So the rule is that to get y, we do 5 lots of x squared. Second example, we're still told y is proportional to x squared, so it's not the x values we care about, it is the x squared values. And if you then do 13.5 divided by 9, you get 1.5. If you do 54 divided by 36, you get 1.5. If you do 73.5 divided by 49, you get 1.5. So the pattern is times the x squared values by 1.5. So we can finish off by saying that y equals 1.5 times by x squared and not x, because y was proportional to x squared. In this question we're told how much of 4 ingredients is required to make 16 gingerbread men. And the question asks how much of each is required to make 24. Now this is what's required to make 16 men. And to make 24 requires an extra 8. Now 8 is a half of 16. So the extra requirement must be a half of each of these ingredients. So a half of 180 is 90, a half of 40 is 20, a half of 110 is 55, and a half of 30 is 15. So to make 24, I must add together the amounts required. So 180 plus 90 is 270 grams of flour, 40 plus 20 is 60 grams of ginger, 110 plus 55 is 165 grams of butter, and 30 plus 15 is 45 grams of sugar. Jim works 8 hours a day and is paid £6.50 an hour. So in any given day he will earn 8 lots of £6.50. So 8 times £6.50 works out at £52 per day. However, he does not keep all his money because he shares his money with Kim in the ratio of 4:1. So the question to start off with is how much does Jim actually keep per day? Now if we do 4 plus 1 equals 5, so we add together the two parts of the ratio. If we then do £52 divided by this value of 5, that works out to be £10.40. Then to work out how much Jim keeps per day, we do £10.40 times by his part of the ratio. And £10.40 times 4 is £41.60. So in any given day, Jim keeps £41.60. So suppose he saves that much every day, then the number of days it will take for Jim to save £1,040 will be 1,040 divided by £41.60. So 1040 divided by £41.60 works out at 25 days. So it takes Jim 25 days to save £1,040. This question asks us to compare two deals. Now a farm shop and a supermarket are selling potatoes. In the farm shop, 12.5 kilograms of potatoes is £9. In the supermarket, 2.5 kilograms of potatoes equals £1.83. And the question is which is the better deal? Now then, if we work out 12.5 divided by 2.5, we get 5.
So if I were to times this amount here by 5, I can compare like for like. So 5 lots of 2.5 is 12.5 kilograms. If I then work out what 5 lots of £1.83 is, it works out at £9.15. So what we've shown is that to buy the same amount of potatoes is more expensive in the supermarket. So to buy 12.5 kilograms is 15 pence more expensive in the supermarket. So the better deal is at the farm shop.